Welcome to the Taylor Method for Pain-Free Living, a podcast that features enlightening conversations with experts in the medical field that helps to improve the health and well-being of those suffering from chronic pain due to injury. Learn from leading authorities the questions you should be asking to experience pain-free living. Hosted by father and son, Dr. Derek Taylor and Dr. Hudson Taylor, and joined by industry professionals in the health field, including doctors of integrative medicine and personal injury attorneys. Enjoy well-rounded and informative conversations to help you get out of pain while achieving optimal wellness. Dr. Derek Taylor and Dr. Hudson Taylor are the doctors of Taylor Chiropractic and Laser Center in Florida and California. Both father and son duo have earned respect and a solid reputation for successfully helping people transform their lives by assisting them to discover the hidden causes of their painful health challenges, leading them to experience the resolution of their problems using the Taylor Method. Tune in each week to learn about the Taylor Method, Dr. Taylor's proprietary technology that looks at the whole person and identifies the root cause of pain while facilitating natural healing and helps to restore the body to optimal wellness without using drug injections or surgery.
Well, welcome to the Taylor Method for Pain-Free Living podcast. This is Dr. Derek Taylor. I'm with my special guest, Linda Borgmeyer, occupational therapist and the owner and founder of Novoleo Therapy and Fitness. Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
So you've been, tell me how you got into occupational therapy. What led you into doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, I was 15 years old and I got my first job at a residential facility for profoundly mentally handicapped. I don't know, I fell in love with it. The whole idea of being able to impact on that level. So I've been doing it for 36 years, going on 37.
Wow. Okay.
And I love every day of it. It's never the same because people are not the same. So it's been a great career.
Yeah, great. Now, you love to help people function at their best. You particularly like to focus in on balance, strength, and power. You're kind of like a balance, strength, and power specialist. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So at the root of all problems, with aging is the lack of strength, the lack of power, which leads to a lack of balance. Also some agility stuff too. We do a lot of agility training, ladder training with the seniors. And once we close that gap, then they're able to go from sit to stand better. They're able to manage stairs. We increased aerobic capacity. And I was really fascinated with this because if we just started there, everything else fell in line. I didn't really actually have to teach somebody how to renegotiate their self-care skills as an occupational therapist. If I got them stronger, they could just do it the way they did it. So I was going to the root cause instead of covering up, or making up for what wasn't there. And they responded really, really well. And so our patients, my goal is if they want to age in place in their home, I give them the tools to do that and make sure that that happens for them and figure out what's more important to them. And that's, the balance, strength, and power is the one. And it's only because we stopped doing it. It's not like there are some losses over time for aging, but if you look back at people who are doing strength training and balance training and power training, they're still doing it actually, I know a lady who did it till she was 105. She did aerobic capacity. She was a runner. She started at 100. Mm-hmm. She just recently passed away. So the idea was that we just stopped doing it. We stopped training it. And then they lost it. And so my job is to show them how to get it back.
Well, that's why you're on the show. You're getting to the root cause. We love getting to the root cause of issues. And I mean, it's just, they stop, use it or lose it, basically, is the principle.
Yeah.
They stop using it and they're going to lose it. Right. So they have to work towards, and as we age, just the aging process, it forces you have to work more diligently at strength, balance, power, all that. You have to work at it because you will lose it. And then the other issue is we age, people get, I don't have the energy, or they have pain someplace, or they have some physical condition where it it just causes them to be sedentary. Don't you think that's pretty much the cause of all these issues of loss of balance, loss of strength?
100%, 100% inactivity. It's actually the fourth leading cause of early mortality is physical inactivity. And it's the one thing we can control. We can't control some of the genetic things that happen to us. But if you think about it, metabolic disorders like diabetes, there are, type 2 diabetes, there are things that you can do to mitigate that, but they just popped the pill. And really the hardest part was getting people to believe that if they trained, they would get better. Like you have to show it to them. So I just asked for the leap of faith and we walk in, but the research, there's plenty of research on them, on this topic. And it shows that you get what you train for. So if you sit in your chair and eat bonbons, you'll be really good at that. But if you get up and get moving, so yeah.
Right. So you just going back to that 105-year-old lady, you said she started running at age 100.
Yes, her name is Hurricane Hawkins, and she lived in Louisiana. She was a delight to talk to on the phone. We tried to get her here in 2020 for a nonprofit race I was doing for seniors. And she was like, honey, you got to call my daughter. She is my manager. I call the daughter, who's probably like 75. And she said, oh my God, she's going to run me into the ground. What is it now? And I said, well, we're having this race and it's in Florida and we'll fly her down. And she said, let me look at her thing. And I'm hearing her flip through the page. She goes, no, she's busy that weekend. She's doing a race somewhere else. But yeah. But she's proof, right? So she's actually somebody I use when I'm standing in front of the crowd and asking them, to step up your game, get out there and get moving. I can't, it's too late. I never did any of this. And I said, I always bring up Hurricane Hawkins. She didn't start till she was 100.
Wow.
No excuses.
That's amazing. And that probably increased her longevity for the next, 5 years. And probably I think it added more years in quality
Absolutely.
of life, right?
Definitely quality of life. Definitely.
Yeah. So you work a lot with seniors.
Yes.
And what are some of the common pitfalls that you see seniors, falling into in regards to their overall health?
Yeah, I would say the diet has been pretty poor, and definitely inactivity. They sit way more than they do anything else.
What are they doing sitting? What are they doing all day? I mean, what is it that?
Just watching TV, and the people that seem to fare the best live in like senior communities. So there's always something going on, and there's always somebody kind of teasing you out of your apartment. There's plenty of those here in Florida, actually all over. But people who are in the homes, which is another target that demographic that we treat, especially during pandemic. When I walked in, that's when I started my business, Novoleo Therapy and Fitness, was during the pandemic, because I was like, they're just staying in their houses. They're not showing up for appointments at outpatient clinics. And they literally sat.
Yeah.
They would do, I'm doing crossword puzzles though. And I'm like, no physical activity. I mean, maybe walking from the bedroom to the bathroom, but they were kind of stuck.
Yeah. And then you see the connection between when they just sit too. They may be doing crossword puzzles saying, oh, this is helping keep me mentally sharp, but they don't realize that movement in itself, it helps activate the brain. So you're not, it helps with all the neurons and the connections there neurologically. And so them actively moving, have you found that those that are more active are sharper mentally and, their minds are a little stronger?
100% of the time. I will find that. Yeah. And that may not be the robust movement that, if they have some sort of disease process going, but those object in motion stays in motion. And with all the new research out showing that the connection between improved memory and movement, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
So talk about that a little bit. So tell us about your experience with, because memory is a big concern for a lot of our seniors, right? They're concerned about not remembering who their spouse is when they with their children, getting dementia or Alzheimer's. Can you talk a little bit about that just from your perspective, doing this for 36 years? What are your thoughts on this topic of memory and movement?
Yeah, a lot of it, I think, has to do with social isolation. I find that the people that are more connected and have like a community of other people their age, and they get together and do things, have connection, that really helps with their memory. It keeps exercise definitely helps with the memory. And I am seeing more of that with people who are in isolation. They'll be like, I can't remember anything. Well, think about our technology. Like, I remember my childhood phone number, but sometimes I have to stop and think about like my kid's phone number, because you just can tell your phone, Siri, call so-and-so.
Right.
So that's had a really profound impact on just the little things we used to do every day. We don't have to remember passwords. Ugh. I shudder to think what that's going to be like as I get age. I'm going to be just kicking out numbers and words, and they'll be like, what's she talking about? That's the million passwords. Then they're hard to manage that. So, yeah.
Socially, exercise wise, diet is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
And then
A lot of sugar.
You see seniors, yeah. I mean, they're stressed, they comfort eat, they go right to the desserts, they eating a lot of processed food, they're getting more tired. It's a lot of work for them to prepare fresh vegetables. Hey, just get it out of a box or out of a can. And then that's also a thing that's just going to make their health go down. It's going to increase the weight on them because all these foods are toxic to their body, accumulates as extra stored fat. So all these factors here, it's a recipe. It's like a perfect storm for line going south. So tell us about, a senior, they realize their balance is bad, they're falling. I'm sure, how many times have you gone to somebody and they're calling you because they keep falling or stumbling? I mean, that's a recipe for disaster if they break a hip, right?
Yes, it's not good. It's preventable. I mean, just getting moving again. And some of the things that we do that differently is that I actually do agility training, like with an agility ladder, because when you go to fall, it's never like slow motion and you have time to react. It's that you have to have a quick reaction time. So yeah, the falls, when I show up to a house and somebody has a black eye because they fell into the wall or something, it just breaks my heart. And because I know it's preventable. Now, if they have things like orthostatic hypotension, those things need to be addressed because they'll cause a fall no matter what physical condition they're in. But yeah, you can train balance. And whether you train balance through targeted training exercise, like those traditional ones, and patients like, I hate balance training. I turn on music. You like music? Because the balance and movement and agility that you have to dance will feed that same system. And it's fun. So making it fun for people is really, really important. And that has been because, we give home exercise programs for patients as therapists. And that's always been my thing. What do you love to do? And then I just try to tie it in. So I have given dance 15 minutes of dance a day.
Yeah. Maybe they don't like to dance, but maybe they like to get in the garden, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Pickleball. Maybe they like to play shuffleboard. Maybe they like to play tennis or golf.
Exactly.
Or maybe they like to just go to the park with their grandkids, right?
Yeah.
All these things here, the key for you then is find something that's going to be enjoyable for them.
Right. Exactly. That's meaningful and that they enjoy doing. Otherwise, they're not going to do it.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, is just getting them motivated.
Yep. And once they start moving, I've never really had somebody that got to a space where they were moving and feeling really good and let that go. Because all you have to do is say, do you remember how you felt when you were doing that? Tell me what that felt like. And I bring them back to that feeling, and then they'll go back and do it because it just feels better. So yeah, that's true.
Well, how many times do seniors, they get in the golden age? I mean, they work their entire life so they can retire and enjoy but they can't enjoy it now because their health is bad. They're immobile. People like to travel. They can't travel because they're afraid of falling or whatnot. So if they can see that what they're doing is going to be a vehicle and an avenue for them to do the things that they love to do and enjoy and improve the quality of their life and their time is shorter here on this earth as well. And just think about the memories that you can be making with your kids and your grandkids. What do you want to be remembered as, right?
Right. Exactly.
You have grandkids that are, and there's only a certain window of time when the grandkids are really excited about seeing the grandparents. And they want to spend that time with them. Hey, take me to the park or go fishing. Can we go fishing or do this? And, you're missing out on all those years and that time if you are not healthy and you're not able to do that. So tell us some things that you do. You go to somebody's house, you do the assessment, you get a baseline of where they're at. They tell you their goals. Hey, I want to be able to do this, or that. What are some protocols? What are some tools? What are some machine, technology? Is there anything what are some things that you do to help them get from point A to point B?
Yeah. So if somebody were to call me up and say, so I have back pain and I can't do blah, 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 and I need therapy. We do the same exact assessments for everyone. They have to be assessed for strength, power, balance, aerobic capacity, and flexibility, because all of those things are going to play into what's happening. So we don't just go right for the back. I also have a machine that we got in Germany that they use a lot in the hospitals, rehab hospitals, and have been very well trained on that. And it basically activates the stretch reflex, the same things like when the doctor hits your knee and your leg goes out, it's a stretch reflex. It activates the stretch reflex, making the muscles contract and relax in the same chain of movement that they do when they walk. And so even for very debilitated people, I haven't seen a point of zero return where I've walked in and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to do anything. They will get something just by being a little bit stronger in their legs, and you can work the core with it. You can work the upper body. So everything is very individualized, because I have several patients, because this is South Florida. We have cruises and all kinds of things that they can do that said, I need to get cruise ready. So I actually have like a little protocol that I use for cruises, like the unexpected movement of a cruise. I had another couple that hadn't been out of the house in probably, I don't know, 3 years since the pandemic. So, and they said, we are ready. We want to go to St. Augustine and we want to walk the cities and that. So I worked on his aerobic capacity for walking through the city and then negotiating the, steps and doorways and all of that to make sure that he would be safe. And they had a great vacation. So I believe in individualized program. I do not believe that everybody should go through the same exact protocol, except for the evaluation, that it should be very, very specific to what they want to do. I had a lady that wanted to build up her arm strength because she has a brand new grandbaby. She wanted to feel comfortable holding them and not feeling like, oh, I can't do this, take the baby. I have a grandchild, so I get it. So I said, okay, that's a great skill to go. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned balance, strength, power, aerobic capacity, and flexibility. Of those 5 things, what do you think is the most important?
Oh, that's a tough one, right? Because if you don't have the flexibility, you're not going to get good strength and power. They all are. With the machine I use, I'm fortunate that I can work strength and power at the same time. Because power, for those in your audience that don't know, power is just strength with velocity, with movement. So that's that sit to stand, or powering up the stairs, or taking a curb, stepping over a curb. And strength is just strength. Everybody's pretty comfortable with that. But without flexibility, lower body flexibility, you can't put your shoes on. You can't, you're struggling with everything. You're a danger in the shower, because if you go down to wash your feet, you could fall because you don't have the flexibility. So all of it is so important. And without aerobic capacity, how are you going to get through a family holiday? You're going to be exhausted. And, I'm Italian, so my family holidays seem like they lasted forever. I remember my mom saying, I just get so tired. So we'd let her go in the room. And this is before I had all this training, and wish she was still alive so I could put her through my rigors. But the aerobic capacity is really, really important too. So I think they're all equally as important. I probably focus different sessions on different things depending on where we're at with the patient.
Yeah, I think they're all important, just because we're holistic people. We need all of those, really.
Yeah.
And so the German technology you're referring to is the Galileo, which is mechanotherapy. And it's pretty incredible technology. I mean, you and I, this is how we came to know each other. We both share that commonality that we both have Galileo machines. I mean, I just think it's incredible, the Galileo, the mechanotherapy that comes from that. I've just had a patient yesterday, came in. She had some sciatica and back pain, and she's very in tune with her body. She also does like massage therapy and other things, and she got on that for the first time. It's different from a power plate or a vibrational machine like you get at Costco or someplace like that, because the mechanotherapy, the technology and the patent on that is different. It has a different motion compared to like power plate or the others. But she was on that and she just said, oh my goodness, I just felt like my whole body just turned on by being on this. And it's pretty invigorating, pretty stimulating. It's pretty powerful. And tell us about your experience using the Galileo with your clients. You've been using it for how long now?
I think it's been five or 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I had an experience with a woman who had sciatica too. She came in, she was talking through her teeth. She goes, I'm in so much pain. I can't move. Daughter says, I just wanted you to see her because we're going to take her to the doctor and we're going to get her a shot. I said, okay, well, give me a chance, because if it is the piriformis tightness, I think I can take care of that.
Yeah.
So I actually had her sit on it and go into a stretch and hold the stretch. And she got up and she was like, I don't have any pain.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, this is great. So what she had to do, because this was at a facility, like a CCRC, a continuing retirement community. I had her come down several times a week, or if she was ever in pain, and just do this one stretch. Just set yourself up and do the one stretch. I've had patients purchase it because that's how profound it was.
Mhm.
I also had a patient that had end-stage Parkinson's. It was right after the pandemic. And when I came out, she had been down for probably about a year. They said, oh, she's stiff as a board. She doesn't make any eye contact anymore. She's really gone. And I started using the stimulation on her, and I'd have to hold her up. And she had, contracture from sitting and everything.
Mhm.
And I would say inside of 3 months, and I have the videos, inside of 3 months, we had her walking with a walker. She was trying to talk to us. I also used music because I knew that she loved music. So put that headset on at certain hertz and opened up her brain. And she started trying to sing the opera because she loved the opera. She made eye contact. She would reach and touch my face. And all the time that I was seeing her when she was in that closed in state, I'd say, I see you. We're going to get through this. And one day we did. And it was so amazing. And I'm telling you, I've been a therapist for 36 years and I sound like I sell it. I don't even sell a machine. I just use it, but it has been a game changer for the very profound and for people who just want to stay in shape.
Right. So you'll go to people's home and you'll carry that with you. And use it. So that itself is a labor of love, and show
It is a labor of love.
Those
Yes.
they are heavy. I mean,
They are very
German
heavy.
technology. It weighs a ton. For you to lug that around is like, wow, that's
I
incredible.
got it down to a science. We have a little baby gurney that sits down on the floor. I have furniture movers. I have a perfect body mechanics. So I've been able to do it for this last couple of years.
That's
And
good.
all the therapists have been trained on. I trained all the therapists on how to use it, and they feel the same way. I will take the hit because you don't have to use it forever with some of our clients. We just need to get them to a point where they then can pull enough weight to, because the end game is really that they learn how to take care of their bodies. And that's on us to teach them. How do you build strength? How do you build power? And we give constantly educating. So, but very, very powerful. I've even put it at the bottom of somebody's bed who couldn't get out of bed, because I noticed they did that in Germany, especially during the pandemic, to keep the legs nice and strong. So when it was time for them to get up on the edge of the bed and to, try to stand, they would have a better shot.
So you put it on their bed and then they laid on it in the bed?
So I put it at the foot of the bed and I angled the bed up, and then so that I could get the stimulation through her legs all the way up. I have had them sit on it for a couple of things. Actually, incontinence. It would work in standing incontinence as well. But I had a young woman. She was only 58 years old. And for her entire life, she has never been able to control her urine. So she laughed or she had a drink and it would come really fast. And she'd been doing this since she was 15 or 16 years old. And I said, let's give it a shot. I don't have any research on this one. I know it works for, as you get older and after menopause kind of incontinence. And we did the program. We did a weighted program in sitting, and it worked.
Mhm.
It worked. Her test was she went and had a drink of alcohol, because that usually would trigger it. Had a drink of it, not while she was worth it, while I was training her, but and she waited, and then she felt like she had to urinate, and she made herself walk all the way to the other side of the house, and she didn't lose it. And she was using less and less pads. So, I mean, it's a muscle, right? The pelvic floor is a muscle, so it will respond.
Yeah. So pelvic floor is a fascinating, that's a whole
Yes, it
nother
is.
topic in and of itself. Do you treat a
Yes,
lot of
it is.
people with pelvic floor issues?
I treat seniors, so everybody has pelvic floor issues, right? And
Yeah.
just standing on it,
What percentage of your seniors have an issue with their pelvic floor?
I would say
You already guesstimate.
that's it. Yeah, if I had to guesstimate, I'd say that they tell me about probably 75%. I
Wow.
think that pretty
That's
much
probably 100%.
it's probably 100.
25% that don't like to say anything, or they're just not in tune with their body and they just don't even think about.
Or they just think it's part of aging. And I do try to, I mean, oh, it's because I went through menopause. Well, you can do something about that.
So what are some of the pelvic floor challenges that a lot of senior women have? What are some of the, because you and I talked about pelvic, we know what that is, but what about our listeners who say, well, what do you mean pelvic floor? I mean, what are some of the symptoms, conditions, problems that they have that they don't even acknowledge or recognize or in tune with, that are problematic, that was not problematic for them when they were 25 years old, but now they're 75, and what are some of the issues that they have as a result of a weak or imbalanced pelvic floor?
Sneeze and lose urine, cough and lose urine, laugh and lose urine, have to run to the bathroom like a sudden thing, like have to do that. That's not really normal, and it doesn't have to be a part of normal aging. If it's a pelvic floor issue, it could be addressed and is definitely worthwhile because it's a quality of life. To have to wear protective undergarments and things like that, that's no fun. That doesn't make you feel great. So
yeah. Right. Well, can you think of, as we close our time here together, can you think of a case that you've had where your balance, strength, and power skills came in that really made a difference in that person's life?
Just one.
Well, we'd probably be here for hours if you tell all of them, but just maybe, can you just think of what one comes to mind?
Well, there was the very first time I got the Galileo, and I picked the oldest person, 100 years old, was living in the community. And he and his wife were a love story like no other. And the one thing they used to love to do is to walk around the lake together. And he just got weak. It wasn't really training or anything, and he had gotten weak and his balance was off. And so we did the balance training. We did strength, power, flexibility, and balance and aerobic capacity, because he needed every single one of those to do that walk with his wife. And we trained him for probably by the 10th or 12th session, he was able to do that walk. And he did that walk with his wife until the day he died, which was 2 years later.
Wow.
But that was, and that was our only goal.
Yeah.
Wants to walk with
around the lake.
with his beautiful wife.
Wow, that's great. Well, hey, how can our listeners get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to?
So we have a website. It's Novoleo, Novoleo therapyandfitness.com. You can call my cell phone. I like to talk to people directly, 561-202-7650. We also have an office line, which I do not know off the top of my head because I never call it. So call me first. I love to answer questions. I like to connect people with services that are out there. We talked to somebody just yesterday about the VA, all the benefits of the VA that they didn't know and things like that. So if just a question, I've been here for 36 years. If I don't have the answer, somebody I know does. So
great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you've been with our guest, Linda Borgmeyer, founder and director of Novoleo Therapy and Fitness, occupational therapist, our balance, strength, and power specialist. Been a fascinating show. Thank you for being an inspiration to so many seniors that are dealing with issues of loss of balance and weakness. And we appreciate what you do for the community, and keep up the great work. It's been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Taylor Method for Pain-Free Living podcast. For more information about the Taylor Method and how you can find lasting pain relief, visit www.drderektaylor.com. That's www.drderektaylor.com.